Start. Hello, I don't know whether this is working, hopefully it is. Welcome to the stream. This is my first stream in a while, my first anything on this channel in a while, and basically I want to go over some minor news stories that have accumulated over the past few days, as well as give, a bit of a life update because it's been a while. To be honest, there's not any huge development, like I'm not going to be sat here being like, I'm pregnant! I mean, the chances of that are pretty much zero because, I can't get pregnant. But nonetheless, yeah, I'm just gonna be doing a bit of a chill stream. Any of you who tune in, are more than welcome to say anything you'd like. But yeah, how are you doing? Let's have a look who's in the chat. We got Jerens Bauman, Hoovian, Vanders Who, the Smart Casual Gamer, Jonah Venables, Ryan Turner. The first UBYT. It's working good. Hi, Big T. Hello, Chums fan 1234. Pretty much, I mean, you can't rule it out. You never know what happens in the future. You just made me think of the Pating episode. Yeah. Oh, girl, I forgot about that. Man, yeah, to be honest, in terms of, obviously this channel hasn't, not a lot's been happening with it. The main reason for that is basically just because not a lot with Doctor Who has been happening. Obviously, I have videos that I want to put out. Obviously, I've got a collab with Jay that I still need to edit. So hopefully you guys will see that soon. But to be honest, because we've had such a quiet period, my sort of drive to constantly give you the news and just talk about Doctor Who in general has kind of wavered a little bit in recent times, just because of the lack of much of anything at the moment. Which, to clarify, I'm not sat here saying that they should be releasing things every day or anything like that. It's just that with any quiet spell, with any franchise, it's kind of inevitable that you think about other things, you talk about other things, you dedicate less time in your brain to do said thing. I'm sure that my hype will pick up in the next couple of months. It seems like the spring was always going to be the slow point for Doctor Who, and then sort of getting into the summer, some promotional stuff will kick in. And then obviously, later in the year we have the 60th and everything. But in the meantime, I would like to shout something out if you guys will allow me. Some of you may already be aware of this. In fact, many of you have gone and checked it out, which I really appreciate. But I might as well, now that I have the platform on here, say it directly to you, and I might start doing this more often as well. I have basically rebranded my second channel, which was prior to this a host of various clips and memes from videos, which Adzinko usually put together, a friend of mine, has now been transformed into Theories YT, the place where I go to talk about other things. So as you can see, we spoke about the Mario Brothers movie there, the Star Wars announcements at Star Wars Celebration, Elon Musk just being bad when it comes to the whole Twitter situation. The Harry Potter reboot, I have some strong opinions on that. Yeah, this is just going to be my little place where I talk about other things. So if you're interested in any of my takes on that, go check that out. Go subscribe. Be lovely to get this channel to a few thousand subscribers as well, just so I can have two places to talk about different things. Obviously, this channel will always be my mothership. I'm not going to do one of these things where I completely deviate the content away from what you guys subscribe for. I know you guys subscribe to Doctor Who, but what I am going to do is kind of see if I can put a balance into both, and hopefully, everyone will be happy pretty much. People who want to see me talk about other things and people who just want the Doctor Who stuff. Hopefully, I can appease both of y'all. But yeah, so that's been going on. So I have been doing other things, but I've also just been generally busy with life things. I've had 2 wheelchair appointments, one for a manual and one for an electric, which can I just say, they introduced me to something in the manual wheelchair appointments that I have never even been offered before, right? And they are, right? And I know this is probably not going to sound that crazy, but to me it was just like, oh my god, I didn't even know that was a thing. Power-assisted wheels for a manual chair. So essentially, you know how with bikes, you can basically do that whole thing where if you're riding a bike and you're going up a hill or something, you can kind of have electrics kind of take over. It's basically that, but like the wheelchair equivalent of that. And it's like I've got have different speeds, and you can either self-propel and use a bit of power if like you're going long distance, or you could just go fully powered. It's genuinely, oh, I'm so excited. Um, yeah, that's something that I was never offered before, and probably would have made my life a lot easier in my youth. Obviously, the chair you're looking at me in now is my electric, which I'll still use for some trips. But as you might know, as a disabled person, like there are some places, particularly certain cafes or people's houses, where electric chairs just aren't practical. They're big, bulky things. This one in particular also is really rough on like pavements as well. Like it's really bumpy, and they're like this. So yeah, that's an update. What else has been going on? Yeah, just a lot of life things, really. But yeah, I wanted to say because it feels like I've not made anything in like an age. And I apologize for that. But yeah, that's just my stuff getting out the way. But let's get into some Doctor Who news things. Russell's been quiet for a month or two. When you least expect it, he drops everything. That's true. That's true. You can never truly be saved. Like I've genuinely, ever since Russell's taken over, I've genuinely gained like a phobia of going away from like where my setup is and where I can cover things. Because to be honest, like because with the 14th Doctor announcement or the 15th Doctor announcement, Ncuti Gatwa. We knew him as the 14th Doctor at the time, but now it's obviously the 15th Doctor. I was away at the time. I was at my dad's, and that dropped. Like, I got none of my equipment here. And then even when he was announced to be returning, I was only in the house for like an hour before I had to leave again. So yeah, I've just sort of gained a phobia of going outside. Because if I do and I miss something, then oh yeah, Thari's chair hall. Oh yeah, wait. Oh yeah, chair hall. Yeah, no, I should show it off on stream when I get each chair. Oh yeah. Also, I've shaved my beard. I think that's not necessarily that new of a thing, but any of you beard enjoyers, I apologize. Well, shoot is still 14 in my heart, or in my heart. To be honest, I really don't care about the numbering. The numbering has been cut. I always see the numbering as more of a like a fan um invention to kind of sort of, and I guess partially it's a branding thing as well. But personally, the numbering of things don't really bother me, particularly when it comes to like doctors now. When it comes to things like, we've had things like the War Doctor and the Fugitive since. Um, so yeah, that doesn't really bother me. We want Mike Hawke now. Confused Adipose still has him. You're gonna have to talk to him about that. Um, but yeah, let's just get into some news. Sorry, I've been sidetracking, but it's been so long since I actually spoke to you guys. Um, But yeah, first of all, bit of a tonal shift. I wanted to give a special kind of acknowledgement, really, to Murray Melvin, who some of you may know as Billis in Torchwood Series 1. Obviously, he continued to do a lot of work for Big Finish, but also was just a very acclaimed actor elsewhere. I've personally been getting into Torchwood a lot recently. I finished a binge a few months ago now, and I really enjoyed his performance in the Series 1 finale. The actual resolution to that finale, less said about that, the better. But him himself, fantastic. So yeah, this was really, really sad to hear, and I kind of just wanted to highlight this, given that, yeah, like I say, it's a sad loss. Elsewhere, again, complete total shift. It's the anniversary of my absolute favourite Doctor Who story, he says sarcastically. Yeah, many of you will probably know that Legend of the Sea Devils is famously, like, probably my least favourite episode, at least of the revival. Maybe Doctor Who in general. Are there ones that you could argue are worse for a variety of reasons? Possibly, but this one for me was just the one where I was like, nah, like there was just so many things, and honestly, I think COVID had a massive impact on Legend because there's certain scenes where it just seems like entire chunks were removed from it. I mean, there's certain scenes where if you look closely enough, you'll see actors' mouths moving and no dialogue coming out, which indicates to me, stuff was getting cut, stuff was getting dubbed over, stuff was getting edited out. There's a lot of issues with that story that I think production definitely had an impact. But yeah, I just do not like this episode. It was funny. I remember when I said that people I say people, like one person was like, very weird to see big accounts not like a story with a lesbian love story in the middle of it. And I literally said, I was like, that's probably the best bit about it. Like, at least that has some character and some nice visuals with the underwater stuff. Everything else is just diet. Like, it's just so bad. Like, the dialogue, that kid who randomly becomes friends with Mad. I'm not even gonna get into it because I'll just end up ranting about Legend of the Sea Devils for the rest of this stream. And I don't want to do that because I got other things to talk about. But yeah, I don't like it. But we had some interesting things come out to do with another Doctor Who collaboration, specifically a full-on Fortnite x Doctor Who collaboration. This comes from iFireMonkey, who is apparently a credible Fortnite leaker. Like, apparently they've had many scoops, and in fact, they do provide. I get a member. I forget. Every time I forget I have that. Every time. But thank you, Bandis, for becoming a member. Yes, we had this, which was from iFireMonkey, which is apparently a leak regarding an upcoming Doctor Who Fortnite collaboration, predominantly to tie into the 60th anniversary. So I'll read out what he has to say. Personally, like, obviously I know we had the other Fortnite collaboration, but that was just a BBC thing. This would be a proper collaboration, skins, all that sort of thing, emotes. I don't really play Fortnite much, but you best believe if they do a Fortnite Doctor Who collab thing, I will be all over that. It has recently been brought to my attention that there has been discussions in regards to a potential collaboration between Fortnite and Doctor Who. Based on what I'm aware of, this would be a 1 to 2 week long event in-game, using an event tab similar to Most Wanted or the Dragon Ball event, featuring a set of free rewards for completing challenges, as well as item shop cosmetics. The item shop would feature 2 skins, 2 pickaxes, 1 glider, and 1 emote. There would also be a free Beep the Meep spray as some sort of incentive for checking out the created map associated with this collaboration. While the image below isn't what the spray would be, it showcases Beep the Meep from Doctor Who, giving an idea of what this spray could look like / be designed around. Also, there's plans for a 0 point event for Fall Guys with Doctor Who skins, which are already released in Fall Guys, originally intended to come out of the 0 point, into both Fall Guys and Fortnite. But that eventually got scrapped. I have no idea what that's all about. But yeah, apparently maybe more stuff for Doctor Who in Fall Guys as well. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. I've been saying for a while I would not be surprised if we got a full-on Fortnite collaboration with the RTD2 era, specifically now that internationally we have the international distribution stuff going on with Disney Plus. I think that makes a lot of sense. Fortnite, they do a lot of skins for things like Disney Plus shows, Star Wars, Marvel, all that sort of stuff. So this would make a lot of sense to me. In terms of what skins they could actually do, I would expect maybe a 14th Doctor and Donna, maybe a Shooty, post-regenerative Shooty, and possibly another classic Doctor just to kind of even it out. Potentially they'd do 13 just because she is the most recent incarnation before Tennant, but I don't know. I'm honestly unsure. I could see them going a number of directions. It's a shame it's only going to be 2 skins. I wonder if, because I know for some crossovers they've done like power-ups and things, or like powers that you can get. Like I know you can get the Hadouken, I believe. No, it's not Hadouken, sorry, it's the Kamehameha from, I was getting confused between, for some reason, Street Fighter and Dragon Ball were in my head at the same time. No, yeah, you can get the Kamehameha from Dragon Ball in Fortnite, so really cool if they could incorporate, like, regeneration of some variety. That would be really cool. Not sure how that would impact gameplay. I'd imagine that would be quite OP, but I don't know. I'll definitely get into it though if it does indeed happen. Um, Also, this is most likely planned for November, since things like Beeps and Me have a lot of relevance towards the 60th anniversary specials for Doctor Who. And then the biggest piece of evidence for this was this image, which actually has, since the image is starting to float around, here's an image I saw of stuff. An interesting thing to note is Garage Debug being on one of the tabs, which relates to that Del Mar mode, which previously leaked, which was set to feature a Garage tab with the vehicle customization. Okay, so it says unit TARDIS alert. Event ends in 0 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes. So this is obviously, before. It is obviously them setting it up, basically. You can even see Lorem Ipsum, which is actually the same font that I use. That's what it's called. The lower font, at least, not this font, the one underneath it. Yeah, so that's cool. I could see it happening. I would be more than down for this. I think I said before I'd heard like things about a Fortnite crossover, so when this came out, I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Elsewhere, in terms of, I guess, quote unquote leaks, although I did see the original post for this. Hold on, let me just go find it real quick. Because it was originally posted on a Facebook forum and then reiterated via Twitter, I believe. Let me just find the original. By the way, how are you getting on? Terence, I gotta say this: if Beep the Beat would come back to Doctor Who, I would laugh. I think that is what is in. I think he is in the 60th, isn't he? He's in the trailer. But it is very cool that he's back. It is kind of mad. I love that Russell is doing some more like kind of obscure returns, like the Toymaker, like Beep the Meep. Because as much as I love him, we see the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Master a hell of a lot. So seeing some, returning villains or just characters in general that just don't get as much love, particularly from like obviously Beep the Meat, which is entirely like an expanded media character, is very fun, and it's something that I hope to see continue into the new era with Russell. I hope it's not just a case of, oh, we'll do the Daleks, we'll do the Cybermen. Go out there a little bit. Who I'd love to see back with like a good budget would be like Sutek. Can you imagine like what they could do with Sutek now? Be great. But yeah, this was the original post. This was to do with figures. This is what I was looking for. News, news, news. I'm very pleased to officially announce I have been given the green light and have permission to share the following information. This is not a leak, and I have been allowed to share this info. It's 100% legit, as we as a group do not deal with rumours or hearsay. Okay, here we go. Please bear in mind the tentative dates are still slated for September, October 2023. B&M will be selling the following sets: the Five Doctors 2-pack, Revelation of the Daleks 2-pack, Remembrance of the Daleks 2-pack, new series Dalek set, but there's 2-packs for that, so there'll be a set 1 and a set 2, which is pretty normal for their history of the Daleks stuff, I think. The Deadly Assassin 3-pack, and the Ultimate Adventure 6 Doctor and TARDIS set. So the most interesting thing in this kind of, I guess, reveal from Anthony Fagan, who apparently is very much credible in the figure Doctor Who figure world. Obviously, with figure leaks or figure stuff like that, it seems as though, I know he said it's not a leak, but it's just so what I'm used to calling it. It seems as though when they happen, like, they're almost guaranteed to be real. Like, there's yet to be a leak that I've seen for figures that hasn't turned out to be accurate if it comes from, like, certain places. So, yeah, with this, the most interesting one, though, if this is real, which I'm going to assume it is, because it seems like a weird thing to lie about otherwise, the most interesting thing about this is undoubtedly the Ultimate Adventure 6 Doctor and TARDIS set. For those of you who aren't aware, Ultimate Adventure was a stage show in the 80s that was basically, as it says on the tin, an ultimate adventure with the Doctor. The Daleks and Cybermen were also present. The Doctor also meets the Prime Minister at the beginning, which I believe they have like Margaret Thatcher jokes at the time. I don't remember. I've seen the clips, but they're in like 180p quality. But yeah, basically, he has a different costume in that. Hold on, if I can actually get it up. Doctor Who. Ooh, Doctor. I can't type, by the way. Doctor Who, The Ultimate Adventure. Oh, not the UK. There we are. This little fella. If I go here, there's the Josh Snares video, which I remember watching. Very good. Josh Snares is killing it, by the way. But anyway, yeah, this is the costume he wears in Ultimate Adventure. So it'd be the first time seeing this variant on anything official, I think, which is pretty cool. It also marks the first time in a while since they've actually done a Sixth Doctor set, so that's pretty cool. And I guess like it's like the only Sixth Doctor variant we don't have. Although I would like to see a re-release of the Big Finish Blue Coat because that's very expensive now and one of the few Doctor figures that I still want and don't have. So yeah, where was I? Couldn't find the right tab yet. So elsewhere though, I can't lie. Whilst I'm not against all the sets, 5 Doctors 2-pack, we could see maybe a William Hartnell, Richard Herndl, First Doctor, maybe. I don't know. We could see maybe another Ainley Master re-release. That'd be quite good because I don't think they've done that in a while. And a Remembrance of the Daleks 2-pack. I mean, they've got to go for a special weapons, surely. I hope. Because we had a Remembrance one fairly recently. It's like over there, the Aeson Imperial Dalek one, and then we got the new series Dalek set and the Deadly Assassin pack, which is cool. I can't lie. I was kind of hoping, given that we heard from Russell T Davies that Bad Wolf and BBC or whoever it was were contributing to the figures, that we were going to see some more new series stuff. Obviously, I get that they can't reveal anything that hasn't been on screen yet, which is understandable. But, like, I don't know, I was kind of hoping for them to do maybe, like, obviously, I know that people are going to say, oh, but the budget restraints of them. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. There's still things you could do, though. For example, a Day of the Doctor set, which would be a re-released 7B11, maybe with some slight tweaking, a new Clara Oswald figure, because we only really have the Asylum one and the one of her in that weird purpley dress, I think. Like, there aren't that many Clara Oswald figures, so like a new Clara Oswald, and I don't know, like maybe you could still have a new series Dalek in there, or even, God forbid, you've got another reason to re-release David Tennant. At least that would fit with like the anniversary theme. You could even do like another Power of the Doctor thing now that you have the weird amalgamation costume from Power of the Doctor and just make a Sasha head. I can't imagine that would cost that much. I don't know. It just seems a bit weird. Like, it's obviously I'm not against it like having those classic sets. They absolutely should be there and have every right to be there. I would just like to see a few more new series things alongside the classic series stuff. But nonetheless, I'll definitely I'll sort of, with a lot of character options things these days, I kind of like pick and choose given what takes my fancy. The Ultimate Adventure TARDIS set I probably will pick up, but like I'm probably, if the Remembrance one is a special weapons Dalek, I'll probably pick that one up as well. Revelation, oh yeah, Revelation I didn't see there, which is fine. The Necros Daleks have always been like one of my least favorite. They're kind of just a beta version of what the Imperials would go on to be. So yeah, I don't know. Do you guys feel that though? Like, I was kind of just hoping for a bit more new series figures. I don't know whether any of you are that big into the figures, really. I know I am, as you can sort of tell by the walls. Yeah, I was kind of just hoping for some more new series stuff. I'll have a little break before we get into the next topic. The Timeless Child figure pack. Well, just each child just in a box. It's criminal that there hasn't been an Absorbaloff figure yet. That's sly on characters. But I mean, I kind of get that because I imagine that would be kind of an elaborate figure to make, and I don't know, because it was a Blue Peter competition and all of that. Like there might be some issues there. I'm not sure. I don't know. what do you think of the new Smith Whittaker 60th reboot? That's interesting. I might talk about that a bit later. In fact, no, I'll talk about it now. Screw it. So, there's been a few things on Twitter circulating from various different, like, I guess, accounts and stuff. Basically, leaks, claiming to be leaks and stuff. And the reason I've not really spoken about them is because there's been so many, and so many of them contradict each other, that I've kind of been hesitant to talk about them, because I don't want to seem like if people do have genuine information, like I'm discrediting anyone. I also don't want to give too much attention to people if they are just deliberately misleading people. It's a very difficult minefield. Like with the Reddit stuff, like it was kind of a meme. I was in it for the meme, but I feel like when it's Twitter and like you've got someone's personal profile and like details on there, I feel as though if I say, oh, this is probably, BS or whatever, which I have done in the past, it carries more personal weight for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I am personally of the belief, and I'll say this right now, I don't think Matt Smith is in the 60th, and I very highly doubt Jodie Whittaker is either. And that's just from like things that I've heard and kind of just where the story seems to be going from everything that we've heard. Like, even if they could get Matt Smith, it would feel weird to just put him in like a 2-second cameo role, given which is what some of those rumors are suggesting, on the basis of how popular an incarnation he actually is. Like, he's second probably to Matt Smith these days. Obviously, I know Tom Baker is massively iconic, but to a younger generation, it's Tennant and Smith. So having him be in that minor of a role would be slightly odd, and I also don't know how heavily the 60th would tie into Power of the Doctor, given that this is meant to be a fresh start, new era, all that stuff. But again, they could be right. I don't want to like discredit anyone, but I also, yeah, it's a difficult one with that. Yeah, no, I'm pretty certain of that too, JP. Like, the thing is, if others are there, even in a cameo role, like that's awesome. But I personally do not want to hype myself up for that, because like if I do and it doesn't happen, that's inevitably going to lead to huge disappointment for people. I think leaks can be very fun. Rumors can be a very fun thing to talk about. But I also don't want to like raise anyone's expectations or make people feel disappointed when they are watching the episodes. If maybe I've talked about a leak or something and they've gone, oh, why has that not happened? Kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and for myself as well, I don't want to like expect Matt Smith to come back and then if he doesn't, be like, oh damn, he's not back. If I go in with only the expectations of what we basically know officially, then it's like I feel as though I can be less disappointed. The only times I generally seem to cover leaks these days is when it comes to official publications and outlets doing them, because then it feels less personal, and there tends to be more weight. Obviously, not always. You get your Suns and whatever, but generally speaking, with the likes of the Mirror, for example, there's a bit more weight behind it. Nicola Metvin in particular has been known to get some very correct stuff when it comes to Doctor Who, both previous eras and current stuff that's going on. Yeah. But that's my thoughts on that. If you have no expectations, you can only enjoy it. Exactly. How's John Luke doing? I think he's doing well. I think he's on trip away at the moment. So I haven't spoken to him a little bit. Well, I say that. I messaged him today, but like not, voice spoke to him. But yeah, he's doing well as far as I know. Yeah, to be fair, Tennant did say there's a lot we don't know about, but that also could be in relation to like a number of characters or things. Could be things like, honestly, you know what I could see happening, and honestly, I know I'm not going to say that this is outright something that's going to happen again. This is just my sort of speculation. Something that I could see happening would be like a Susan cameo of some description. or like, you know, a vision of Susan befalls the Doctor for some purpose. That to me seems more likely than, you know, a Matt Smith return. Something like that probably makes more sense. Or like, you know, a Melanie Bush return, given she was already in power, and that was kind of something that was heavily rumoured way back when, before, you know, rumours just went crazy. I feel that you should have a fresh start, not the 60s. I guess, but like, I feel as though with anniversary specials, right, you kind of walk this fine line between, you know, keeping it obviously keeping fans happy, but also in turn making it accessible for the casual audiences. And that's why I feel like they've gone for Tennant as their lead, because he is the casual favourite. And I mean, for a lot of fans, he's also the favourite. But you go up to any John Doe on the street and you're like, oh, what's your favourite Doctor? They're probably going to say Tennant. And that's why I think they put him, among other reasons, he's probably the most available. Russell has a story for him, etc. But the thing is obviously things like Beat the Beat and Celestial Toymaker, yeah, we know about those things, and they are deep cuts, but they're old enough and kind of unknown enough to kind of be new to many audiences. But if you start bringing in things like Guardians of the Edge, alternate, if David Tennant also plays the 10th Doctor as well as the 14th Doctor, if you have all these Doctors in this weird corporeal nebulous space, it is going to alienate the casuals, which I feel like they want back. Whereas I feel like there's some things that you can do which, because like Day of the Doctor, right? One of the common criticisms of Day of the Doctor is its lack of classic stuff in it, right? I would make the case that whilst I would have liked to have seen more stuff, Moffat did a lot in terms of what he could actually do, and also when you think of the casual involvement at the time, I think what they did made the most sense, because a lot of people at that point didn't know the classic series as well. Obviously now people have gone back and watched a lot of the classic series, but 10 years ago, you know, even especially like America was only really getting properly popular with Doctor Who at that point. You know, it kind of needed to be this crowd pleaser for as many people as possible. They were casting a wide net essentially, whereas something like Power, for example, which wasn't as concerned by ratings or by public prestige, you know, can just sort of do the fan service and you just sort of go along with it. You know what I mean? It depends on who you're targeting, and Russell to me very much seems to be targeting more casuals. Mel was spotted, I believe. Well, I mean, I don't know whether Mel was spotted, but I know that her involvement was speculated. There was that. I remember there being like a very very grainy picture that seemed to imply that maybe she was on set, but I don't think we ever had any confirmation of that. It did bring back the Zygons, true, and I think the Zygons, like they occupy a similar space as to what Beat the Meat does, where it's like, or like the Toymaker does, where it's like we as fans know what those things are, but they're different enough and old enough to the point where you can reintroduce them to a more casual audience without casual audiences going, what? You know what I mean? Let's see the ship XP. Oh yeah, this is a Doctor Who ship. I wear it a lot. um, yeah, as an American, if the 50th was stuffed with classic stuff, most American viewers would have been lost. Exactly. You know, a lot of people are like, I think there's often a difference between what fans want to see and what is practical. You know, I mean, the one place where I would say that the 60th, not the 60th, sorry, the 50th drew back, and it's not even Moffat's fault, it's the BBC's, was them saying, don't do Paul, people won't know who he is. I feel as though there is a way you could incorporate Paul by having him be the one to do the Time War. It gives him narrative function. I mean, you know, it would still be a new character to the audience in the same way the War Doctor was, so I still think that would have worked. But other than that, I feel like they did the story that they needed to do at the time. Hopefully, the 60th goal is return for David, stay for Shooty. I think that's exactly the goal. and I think it's personally kind of genius. Like, a lot of people have kind of been sort of feeling Tenant fatigue, and I think that's a valid thing to be feeling. You know, he has been on a lot of stuff, a lot of merchandise and things, but to the casuals, as I say, the last time he was seen at the very earliest would have been 10 years ago for the 50th. Um, so it's not really to casuals that much overexposure. There's plenty to still buy for the classic series. That's very true. I disagree mainly because I feel like the one time you can ignore casuals after anniversary. I would agree in most other circumstances, if not for the fact that, to be frank, there was a possibility that Doctor Who wouldn't have continued past the centenary, and I kind of feel as though, yeah, sure, if Doctor Who was in a position where it was universally known and popular in the vein of something like Star Wars, right? Yeah, sure. Throw all the weird fan servicey characters you want at it. God knows that's what Star Wars does. But I think you've got to take into context the position of the show. And the position of the show isn't the strongest, or at least wasn't when Russell took charge. As Chibnall said, he thought for a while it was going to be the last episode of the show. And when you're in that position, the last thing you really want to be doing is more um, sort of appealing to the already converted, appealing to just your core audience base, because that doesn't really yield a high returning viewer bases, which is what would allow the show to be sustained. You know, the difficulty with a show like Doctor Who or anything with a huge fandom is getting the balance between fan stuff and the casual audience stuff. Yeah, and I would honestly make the case things like Star Wars have overgone in the other direction, where like you have to be a fan of all things to get like the shows. Um, but then you could also make the case there's certain franchises that go the other way and make it way, way, way too accessible. With the shows standing right now, yeah, you need casuals back. Yeah, if we were in a 60th position where Russell had been back a few years, all the casuals on board, fine, throw a bit more, stuff at it. But as it is, I think they made the most logical choice. TBH, as much as I enjoyed Power of the Doctor, it was stuffed with way too many references and probably would have alienated Cal. Oh, it definitely did. I remember the night of that airing. I remember my mum saying to me, "Should I watch uh, Jodie's last one to like catch up?" And I was like, honestly, and this was before it even came out. This was just based on what we kind of knew going in. I said, "You're not gonna, you're not gonna be able to follow it," and that's not because my mum couldn't follow it, but just because there's just so much stuff, so much context, so much history that you need to know to get any real enjoyment out of that episode. Because to outside people, it is just kind of like cameos the episode, and it's fun. Yeah, that's literally what Thomas just said, and those words literally came out of my mouth as that message apparated onto my screen. It was cameos the episode, you know. Um, yeah, so I think you do have to be careful. I think a teenage doctor could work as long as they don't go full on with it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel as though, obviously, I'm not one of the proponents that like Doctor Who needs to be old. I mean, I think Matt Smith, uh, Tennant as well in his time wasn't that old as well. You know that myth has been thoroughly dispelled. But I do think even if they aren't old themselves, and they need to be able to communicate age to a degree, and maybe you could do that with a younger actor, possibly. But I just don't know whether I feel like there is a limit. Yeah, my roommates are more casual and they had no connection at all to the nostalgia. Power is just almost incoherent to them. Yeah, I think that's the balance, isn't it? Like, do you want something that, yes, I think, okay, another great example, right? This is going to feel like totally off track, but bear with me, I'm going somewhere. The Mario movie, right? Just because I reviewed it on the second channel. The Mario movie is chock full of references for fans, little Easter eggs, things like that. However, you do not need to be a seasoned, you know, mega fan of Super Mario Brothers to get most of the jokes. Those things are just there as little Easter eggs that the audience go, like the fans, they're going, oh my god, they referenced that, you know, like they referenced the Donkey Kong rap or something like that. But to casuals, they're like, oh, it's just a funny song about Donkey Kong. You know what I mean? Whereas something like Power of the Doctor, it's like, oh, this is Tegan, this is Ace. Why did you stop speaking to me, Doctor? We know when that happened. But to casuals, like, wait, what, who are you? And I guess it comes a lot down to execution as well, because, you know, School Reunion exists, which reintroduced Sarah Jane. But again, I think it comes down to that aspect of treating her as a new character, whereas Power of the Doctor is expecting you to go in with a pre-established knowledge of who these characters are, which a lot of the casuals do not. Ace probably more so, but Tegan not very much. Matt Smith was great doing the whole being really old behind the young exterior. Exactly. And I kind of feel like you need that. And maybe a teenage actor could pull that off, but I'm not overly convinced. It really would depend on the actor. Uh, yeah, but in short, where were we even going with this? What was the original point? Yeah, I'm not convinced that there's going to be a ton of like cameos for the reasons that I outlined. That I think, um, for the reasons that I outlined, I think that they're going to want to keep it accessible for casuals but enjoyable for long term fans, and I feel like that's the balance they want to strike. Moffat struggled with story bloat towards the end as well. Yeah, I mean, I not gonna lie, I think it was a mistake to have Peter Capaldi's final story so heavily feature the first Doctor, played by David Bradley. I think it did not undermine him, but it did draw away some of the spotlight from him. And I kind of think the same thing happened with Jodie in Power, where it's like, at a certain point, it didn't really feel like Peter's final story or Jodie's. It kind of felt like, here's some cameos, also there's a regeneration at the end. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they're different episodes, and I acknowledge that, but you get my point. I think Josh Nez did a great video on this recently. Do you think Doctor Who would still be on air with the new episodes if it wasn't cancelled back at the end of the classic series? I doubt it. I think there's an argument to be made that whilst obviously Doctor Who was arguably reaching some of its peaks towards the end of the classic series, I think it needed a break to a certain degree to be reinvented, because the BBC as it existed at the time did not value it. They just didn't. They were somewhat embarrassed by it. Budgets were low for it, and I can't imagine that wouldn't have sustained at least for a while if the show had been allowed to continue. In fact, I think we'd have probably had Tom Baker returning long term. That wouldn't have surprised me at the time, and I just feel as though, whilst I don't think the gap in an ideal world would have been as long as it was, I do think it was partially necessary in allowing for, the new stuff, the new Who. It's weird calling it New Who in retrospect, because it is almost like 20 years old now. Hi Terry's big fan, and my kid is a super fan too. You inspired him to do his own channel called the Gallifrey Station. Well, shout outs to your son. That's awesome. I hope he does well. Big shout outs to you both. I hope that you do well. I mean, that's how I started out. I was just talking into my phone. It's a good bit of fun. I hope he enjoys himself doing it. Yeah, it's one of the most fun communities, YouTube communities at least, to be a part of. So I hope he has a great time. I feel like another Doctor is not needed in the 60th, but a visible element from the Moffat Chibnall era should be there. Yeah, I'm not entirely against that. I mean, I to be honest, I less so feel the urgency for a Chibnall related thing. Not because because I like dislike the era or anything, but more so because we literally just came out of that era. So from my perspective, it's like the need to call back to that era is less because we literally just saw it like 6 months ago. You know, like I'm not really out here being like we need to see Jodie again because like well 6 months ago, like whereas with someone like with some Moffat era stuff, it's like yeah, those things might not have been seen for the very earliest like 6 years, if not more. Um, so yeah, I would like I don't doubt there probably will be callbacks to other eras. I'm just not convinced that Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi, or I know Peter Capaldi wasn't in the original rumor we were talking about, but I'm just not convinced other Doctors is part of that. I mean, one day a teenage Doctor would probably happen if it stays on air for a lot longer, since it needed to have fresh ideas for stories eventually. Yeah, that's true. I think it's possible the Doctor Who will be a recurring show for a long time and have hiatuses in between. Probably. I mean, this is a pretty long period where we've not had a hiatus when you think about it. Like, obviously, I know that the classic series went on for 26 years, but considering how it seems as though a lot of shows these days are shorter and shorter, it's kind of amazing that, New Who's even lasted this long. Um, But I think the difference is there, sideline, is that with Stranger Things and Dumping Ground, they are specifically teenage characters, whereas the Doctor historically isn't one, and historically is someone who commands a level of wisdom and age-related authority that would be harder to communicate via a teenage accent. Maybe, as I said, not saying it couldn't work. I just wouldn't be convinced by it. You know, just as a concept, I don't love it, but maybe it could work if the right actor was chosen. Is basically how I feel. As great as Gemma was, she was a match for Matt, but she stole the show from Peter when he was better when he left. That's an interesting one. I definitely could. I agree with you that she stayed too long. I think in Series 8 it probably works. Series 9 I would agree. Like, yeah, no. She stayed one series too long, in my opinion. I think Bill Potts was a real, fresh kind of presence. But yeah, other news. There was other things I wanted to talk about today. We went on a long, long tangent, but you know what? That's why I love live streams. Yeah, so SFX are doing some Doctor Who coverage. Well, specifically, they are interviewing, I believe, Casey Manning. And then there's like an embargo on the magazine. It released April 20th, so we don't know whether anything 60s related will be divulged in it. Uh, Obviously, we can assume Doctor Who will be spoken about because it's Katie Manning, of course it will. But whether it'll contain any news, I don't know. Be interesting though. We also had Doctor Who filming locations saying that there could very well be some filming soon, which is exciting news. I saw that they might be filming in Canada later this year, which is pretty interesting. Seems as though we're going back to more, sort of like international territory, which is fun to see. A lot of the filming has seemed to be taking place inside, which gives me the vague hope that we might be seeing more alien worlds in the next era, which I'm very pleased about because I feel as though with the Chibnall era, a lot of it was Earthbound, and I kind of want some more Spacebound stuff. So hopefully, given all the studio bound stuff, we'll be getting a lot of alien planets, which is very cool. Yeah, apparently as well, there's this George Street Furnitures in Newport, which is apparently going to have some extras playing 1960s workmen on April 20th, so that could possibly be filming as well. So there's a lot of like little filming tidbits. It seems as though filming is going to be ramping back up again soon because, as far as I'm aware, the team were on Easter break, which is why we haven't heard much in this kind of interim gap period. How much of Series 14 has been filmed so far? I don't know. I wouldn't assume loads on the basis that they only really just got shooting in. So I'm gonna, obviously I don't know for definite. I'm gonna hazard a guess and say like 20-30% odd. So they've probably got a while to go yet. It seems like they're taking their time, which to be honest, I would kind of prefer because I think it leads to a more polished experience. Only recently has Chibnall spoken out about like some of the hastiness to which particularly things like Flux was put together, and even Series 11 to an extent with the whole writer's room thing. So yeah, for me, I think I would rather than take the time and it be a really refined series. But yeah, I would hazard a guess to say about 20 or 30%. Um, yes, I missed Alien Planets. I fully agree. Yeah, no, I have definitely missed. Of course, I agree. It's a point I said. Yeah, no, I, I'm completely on the same boat. Like, don't get me wrong. I've liked the more international aspects to a degree, but like, man, and the thing is, people will say it's a budget thing, but like, even in the '70s, literally every episode was on an alien planet, and it didn't matter that it looked like it had been put together with about 70 quid and a prayer. It didn't matter. You were on an alien planet, you could get lost in it. Whereas I feel like on Earth, there's this kind of inherent. Obviously, there's some Earth stories that really work, but I feel as though you can get lost in the fantasy more in alien or future based stories, or less. A Athari's life stream for the anniversary of Space Story. How wholesome! Yeah, no, I addressed that earlier on in the stream. Um, wasn't there a rumor about 60th retweets recently? I think so, but I think Rachel Talale heavily quickly debunked it. For some reason, my mind went blank. Just in a quarry like every good alien planet. Exactly. I really want to see Shooty's title sequence. That will be interesting. I'm going to be interested to see what they do in terms of like Shooty's title sequence in contrast with what they'll use for David. Like, will it be that different? Will it be quite similar, but with some of the variables changed? I don't know. Going to be interesting. I'm going to assume that they're going to keep the same TARDIS just because from the leaks that we've seen, I doubt that they would build such a big set for 3 episodes. Like, I doubt that. Just doing things. What's the news? We've been going through a few things. Predominantly stuff to do with potential Fortnite crossover, new figures for B&M, FFX coverage with Katie Manning doing an interview for them on the 20th. New filming seeming to take place possibly around the 20th, and that's about everything. And now we're going to be getting into my final thing, which is kind of a big thing. But first, I'm just going to very quickly go and check on my dog real quick. So I'll be right back. In the meantime, entertain yourselves. I'll be right back.
It's probably just very good for the
All right, I'm back. We're still waiting on the dog to come in, but I just said that I'll carry on anyway. Until she comes back. So wait, did something happen while I was gone? Wait, the webcam's not working. That's a good sign. Hold on. Come back to me. Hello. Oh, well, it's working on one screen. Working on this one. No, this one for some reason. Oh, that's why. There we go. All right, I fixed it. I'm back. Yeah. So I only wanted to do oh, it's only my dog. Uh, dog stream pog. Yeah, no. There's only one more thing I really wanted to cover, and this was there was this Radio Times article which sparked a bit of interesting, I guess, not debate but discussion. Which was Chris Chibnall expects his Doctor Who stories to be contradicted. So this was a Radio Times article which was, I believe, quoting another podcast that Chris Chibnall's been on, specifically the Reality Bomb podcast. Former Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall has opened up about how he expects his stories to be ignored and contradicted. The writer, who stepped down following from the show last year from Jodie Whittaker's final episode, The Power of the Doctor, said he would be arrogant to expect his stories to be built on or developed in the future of Who. I think you have to be very okay with that. You do your work on the show during your time, and the moment you step away, the moment you stop. There's nothing is in your hands, and the other people come in, will contradict it, change it, will alter it. And that's okay, he told the Reality Bomb podcast. It'd be very arrogant of me to sit here and go, what I really hope they're going to do is expand this story and see, and that, and that, and that, and that, and the other. Oh, wait. To expand the story into this and that and the other. Given that I have taken the words of others and turned it inside out and questioned it and remolded it some of the answers. Chibnall added, I have nothing to add, no expectations. I would imagine it will all be ignored, contradicted, doubled back on. It could be anything. That's okay. That's the incredible thing about Doctor Who. So yeah, that was basically his main quote. And I saw some people, kind of, memeing on this, like, oh, kind of hope that some of the things get ignored. But personally, he is totally right. Like, he himself contradicted a lot that came in the Moffat era. Same goes for every showrunner. They kind of change and alter things that come before. That kind of just is Doctor Who in a way. I didn't like a lot of the things that he did, but I think his outlook on this is quite mature and incredibly correct. Stories do change, things do get altered, and that's all right. That's fine. It's not really a slight on anyone necessarily. It's just the show is. So yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting quote from Chibnall there. Yeah, it kicked up a tizzy, which I was surprised at. I mean, I kind of get it, the jokes were funny, but like, personally for me, what he actually said was incredibly based, as the kids may say. I don't know. I don't. In fairness, I'd make the case that obviously, yeah, he did contradict stuff, but like, so did Moffat. Moffat changed Doctor Who like continuity and stuff all the time. What's your dog's name? Better be K9, but it's probably Rex or Biscuit. No, it's Bonnie. It's funny because when we were suggesting names, I was thinking, how can I sneak in a Doctor Who name without it being too obvious? And then I was thinking of like the companions' names, and I was thinking the actors' names, and I was like, well, Bonnie Langford is Mel. Bonnie's quite a nice dog name, and I suggested that without that context to my mum, and she was like, I like that. So Yeah, Bonnie after Bonnie Langford. Exactly. But yeah, I do actually have a Doctor Who themed name for my dog. It's just not too overt, so that way I could get away with it. uh, in terms of, I'm seeing some discussion in the chat about like the whole retcon the timeless child thing. Honestly, I'd rather they just kind of like move on and tell new stories. Like, I'm not obsessed with this idea that like it needs to have like an episode dedicated to changing it. I'd rather people just like tell new stories, you know? Like, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, we need an entire confirmed retcon. It's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they've already kind of said in the Chibnall era it wasn't that relevant. So, I'm not really out here threatening about it that much. Maybe in 2020 when it just happened, I was annoyed. Ignoring casual views, what would be your dream 60th? Honestly, it's difficult. Probably something. It's difficult because I feel like it wouldn't be the five doctors in terms of like that format of like all the doctors come to a thing to solve a thing, because like I kind of didn't like the way that was formatted in terms of a lot of the doctors spent a lot of time apart, and I think a lot of the beauty in um, part of the beauty of multi doctors is the interaction between incarnations, seeing those heads clash. So I think I'd probably do something um, in which there was kind of like a moral quandary that happened. That and you'd have like a few of the different doctors there, both classic and new series, preferably maybe like I'm thinking just off the top of my head, who would I like to see who they could realistically do? I think they could do McCoy. I could probably do Paul as well. Tennant, Smith, Eccleston's not happening. Capaldi maybe, and then like Jodie, and then you could basically have it be like some sort of moral thing. Obviously, I know it's the same person, but the Doctor has frequently sort of exhibited, different kind of states in terms of like how they emote and how they react to things depending on the incarnation. Like Seven is a conniving little son of a gun, and Nine is very emotionally vulnerable. And I think having those ideas clash would be a really interesting idea for an anniversary, rather than the world's ending, everyone get in, fix it. Probably that. But Doctor Who works best when it builds on canon, not throws it all away in the trash. It's only because general idea sucks that they should be ignored. I mean, yeah, I don't like his ideas, but like I say, it's I'm not. I'm just not out here being like, I want them to spend a ton of time retconning it. It's like, nah, I'd rather them just move on. You know? I think the best way to do a multi-doc story with more than like three doctors is to pair them off. That would also be a good idea as well, yeah. I'd like to have actually, one of the things I always thought was cool, and I don't even remember who suggested it, would be like kind of pairing off doctors with different companions. So I think it'd be really fun to have like, I don't know, you could have Donna and 12 and I don't know, 10 and Clara, maybe based on their brief interactions in Day of the Doctor, and like, or even better, do like another 11 and Clara story and have um Bill and Nardole be in 12's gang, and you could do all that sort of stuff. Like, I think that would be really fun as well. I think that about wraps up this stream. Anyway, I think that's about all I want to say, unless there's like anything major that I missed, which I don't think that I have. So yeah, I think I will leave you all to enjoy your evenings. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your days. Hopefully, like I say, I am going to be just like, no, not like Dimensions in Time. Definitely no. I'm also mean. Well, I mean, Dimensions in Time, if it didn't have anything to do with EastEnders and was good, maybe, and had a more concrete threat, keep going. I don't know. I'm probably going to eat something soon. It's about 5:30. Um, when are we going to get a druggy Dr. Matt split? I like that. I laughed at that more than I want to admit. That was very good. Um, But yeah, I will see you all soon. Take care. What do you think of Jigsaw soon? I saw a lot of people who were like mad about it or whatever. I personally was there like, oh cool. Apparently they're on Broadway and stuff. I haven't really seen RuPaul's Drag Race, but it doesn't bother me at all. I was there like, neat, new casting. Don't know much about them, but like, sure it's gonna be great. Thank you to JM for becoming a member for 11 months. Thank you so much for that. Multi-Doctor story with all hologram doctors. I mean, wasn't that basically Power of the Doctor? I mean, I guess you did have the Guardians of the Edge, so to speak, but a lot of it was hologram based. But yeah, I will speak to you all soon.
You will become like us.
Yeah, there's the notification. If I have to hear the update, do I have to go near the beginning? I came after the break. Yeah. The stream is just about to end, so literally, if you click on this again once it's a video, you'll be right at the beginning. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I might clip some of this stuff depending on stuff. Hopefully tomorrow you'll see. Well, hopefully tomorrow you'll see the J video. I'll make that promise now, so I'll do it. But yeah, I will speak to you soon. Take care and goodbye.